Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a proposition for you. It's a hypothetical, and it sounds like this amazing dream scenario, but
Yeah.
it might actually be a nightmare. It really depends on how you look at it.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Imagine I can offer you a guarantee, a 100%, magically, biologically verified guarantee. I can hand you a piece of paper, and on it is the name of your soulmate, the one person you are cosmically designed to be with.
Wow.
Do you take the paper?
I mean, yes. I think most people would say yes, right?
Yeah.
It's the ultimate removal of uncertainty. In a world where modern dating is basically, I don't know, a data scraping exercise mixed with pure gambling,
Yeah.
that piece of paper is the holy grail.
It takes all the guesswork out of it.
It removes the risk of heartbreak, or at least the risk of investing years in the wrong person. It's a sure thing.
It is. But here's the catch. Here's the caveat. What if you get the name and you just can't find them? And I don't mean for a week or, a month. I mean, you have the name, you know for a fact they exist, but you spend 10 years searching.
Okay.
You are essentially holding a map to a treasure chest that you just cannot locate. So does the certainty of the who outweigh the absolute torture of the when?
That completely reframes the entire proposition. That now you're talking about the difference between a destination and a journey, really. If you focus entirely on that destination, the name on the paper, you completely paralyze the journey.
Right.
You stop living in the present because you're just waiting for the future to finally arrive. You sort of become a ghost in your own life, haunting a future that hasn't even happened yet.
That paralysis is exactly where we find our protagonist in the source material we are covering today. We are doing a deep dive into One and Only by Maurene Goo.
Yes.
And on the surface, this is a contemporary romance. It's set in Los Angeles. It's funny. But underneath, looking at the notes and the themes here, it seems like a much heavier deconstruction of fate versus free will.
It is. It absolutely is. It uses the framework of a rom-com to explore something that's actually quite dark. It gets into the anxiety of aging, the pressure of legacy, and the way trauma can kind of masquerade as destiny.
That's a great way to put it.
It really asks if the one is a promise or if it's a prison.
And the protagonist caught in that prison is Cassie Park. She's on the verge of turning 40. And she is stuck in the exact waiting room scenario we just described. She has the paper. She's had it for 10 years.
Right. And to really understand Cassie, I think we first have to understand the environment that created her. This isn't just a story about a woman looking for a date. It's about a woman who is completely trapped in a family legacy. The setting itself is a character in this book.
Okay, so let's get into that world building, because this agency, One and Only, it's not your typical Tinder startup in a sleek office building.
Yeah.
It's something much more tactile and atmospheric.
Oh, far from it. The text describes it as this old colonial building right in Beverly Hills. But it's designed to be a kind of sensory trap.
What do you mean by that?
Well, depending on the season, it smells like peonies or lilies or lilacs. It's all high-end luxury floral sofas, discreet security guards. But the roots of the business are entirely traditional, entirely Korean. It's a business run by the Park women.
This matriarchy.
A lineage of Korean-American women who possess a very specific and very real supernatural gift.
I love the breakdown of the family hierarchy here. It feels very, corporate, but also completely chaotic. You have Halmoni at the top, the grandmother.
The matriarch, absolutely. And Halmoni is 88, but she completely subverts that sweet cookie baking grandmother trope. She's described as intimidating, sharp as a tack. She's always wearing Chanel sunglasses and carrying Hermes bags.
So she's a boss.
She is the boss. She represents this incredible intersection of ancient power and modern capitalism. She is the keeper of the gift, but she's also running a very profitable business. She understands that magic needs to be, profitable to survive in a place like Los Angeles.
That's a very practical kind of magic. Then under her, you have Amoni, the great aunt. She sounds like a wild card.
She is. Every tragedy needs its comic relief, and Amoni is definitely it. She's the CFO, which is, frankly, terrifying because she's obsessed with gambling and money.
The CFO's gambler.
Yes. She's the one clicking on YouTube ads she shouldn't touch and, sneaking off to casinos.
Yeah.
But she also grounds the family in the earth. She's obsessed with her garden. She brings this chaotic, vibrant energy that sort of balances Halmoni's cool stoicism.
And then there's Sunny the aunt, who handles marketing.
Sunny is the cool aunt. And more than that, she's the success story. She's the proof of concept.
Because she used the gift herself.
Exactly. She found her husband, Stu, through the family gift, so she is the living, breathing proof that the system works. She's stylish, she's happy, and she serves as this constant, maybe even painful reminder to Cassia of what happens when the magic goes right.
And that brings us to Cassia. Her official title is Director of Operations.
But really, Cassia is the glue. She is type A to the extreme, hyper-organized, living her life through Excel spreadsheets. She manages the chaos of these powerful, magical women.
So she keeps the trains running on time.
She does, but there's this deep, tragic irony in her role, right? She organizes the lives of others. She facilitates their happy endings, all while her own life is on an indefinite, decade-long pause. She's like the mechanic who fixes everyone else's car but has to walk to work every day.
So let's talk about the product they're actually selling. Because this is where the book bridges that gap between, fantasy and reality in such a cool way. They don't use algorithms. They use something called face reading.
Physiognomy, which is, a real ancient practice reading character, and fate from facial features. But the park women take it a massive step further into the realm of shamanism.
Okay, so how does it actually work?
In the source material, there's a great scene with a new client, a woman named Gemma Flores, that illustrates the mechanics of it perfectly. Cassia doesn't just look at Gemma and say, oh, you have a stubborn chin. It's nothing like that.
Yeah.
She enters a trance.
It sounds almost psychedelic. Like she physically transports.
In her mind, yes. The book describes it as if she steps into a vision of a past life. In Gemma's case, Cassia is suddenly in a turn-of-the-century city, and she can smell the dust and the horses. She sees Gemma's past self in a dress shop.
And she's looking for something specific in that vision.
She's looking for one thing, the red thread of fate.
Ah, the classic East Asian mythological concept, right? The invisible red thread that connects two people who are destined to meet.
Exactly. But for Cassia, it's not invisible at all. It's visual data. She sees the thread unspooling from the client, from Gemma, and connecting to a man in that past life. She sees the man's face. That's the data point.
That's fascinating. It implies that soulmates are this repetitive cycle. You loved them then, so you're destined to love them now.
Which is a huge assumption when you think about it, but in their system, it's fact. But of course, seeing a face from the year 1900 doesn't really help you find a boyfriend in modern-day LA.
Right. Bit of a logistical problem there.
And that's where the ritual comes in. This is the verification phase. They have this family heirloom, a jade cuff, which Cassia wears, and it physically warms up during these visions.
It was like a magical thermometer.
Kind of, yeah. Halmoni takes the cuff after the vision, and she holds it over a sheet of this special, transparent, handmade paper. And the magic then translates the vision into text. The name of the soulmate literally stitches itself onto the paper in red thread.
Wow. So for this client, Gemma, the name Peter Cruz just appears on the page.
Stitched in red thread. And this is the part I find so brilliant. This is where the ancient magic stops and the deep stalking begins, right? I mean, this juxtaposition is just fascinating. You have this mystical, sacred, shamanistic ritual. And the immediate next step is handing the name to two Gen Z interns, Mateo and Lila, to go scour LinkedIn and Instagram.
It grounds the fantasy, doesn't it? It acknowledges that even if you have a destiny, you still have to deal with the modern internet to actually find it.
And it also highlights the absurdity of the whole premise. They have a 100% guarantee. If they find the guy, it's a done deal. Happiness is assured.
Which is an insane promise to make.
It's an insane promise. And that guarantee assumes that the person you were in a past life wants the exact same thing as the person you are today. It assumes the soul is static, that it doesn't change or evolve over centuries.
Which brings us to the central tension of the whole book. If this system is so perfect, if it's 100% guaranteed, why is Cassia, the operator of the system, still single?
And this is where we have to unpack what the book calls the mother wound. It's the key to her entire character. Cassia is about to turn 40. 10 years ago, she broke protocol. She had her grandmother, Halmoni, do a reading for her.
And she got a name.
She got a name, Daniel Nam.
Daniel Nam, which sounds like a very common name.
Extremely common. It's like looking for a John Smith or a Chris Lee. And for 10 years, she has had private investigators, her office manager, Shreya, her interns, everyone hunting for this man.
And in that time, she hasn't dated anyone else.
No one. She's completely paused her life. And the reason why is her mother, Yvette.
Okay, tell me about Yvette. She died when Cassie was young, right?
When Cassie was turning 8, actually on her 8th birthday.
Oh, that's brutal.
It was a brain aneurysm, a random, chaotic, biological event, a tragedy. But Cassia doesn't see it as random. Yvette was a bit of a rebel. She rejected the fated match that Helmani had found for her.
So she went against the family gift.
She did. She chose Cassia's father instead, a man she loved. But he ended up leaving them. Yvette became a single mom, and Cassia has internalized this narrative that her mother died because she rejected fate.
Wow, so she thinks the stress of it literally killed her.
The stress of going off script, the stress of choosing her own path, it's a massive psychological burden for a child to create, and she's carried it into adulthood. She views fate as a safety mechanism.
That makes so much sense. She isn't just looking for love, she's looking for like an insurance policy against tragedy.
Precisely. She isn't just looking for a happy relationship, she is looking for immortality. She thinks if she finds Daniel Nam, if she just follows the rules and clicks the final lock into place, she won't die young. She won't leave a child behind like her mother did.
Her birthday must be an awful time of year for her.
It's a day of mourning. She usually flees town, just goes to be a hermit somewhere and wait for it to be over. Her whole worldview is built on this flawed premise. Choice equals danger and fate equals safety.
So she is just white-knuckling her way through her 30s, waiting for this Daniel Nam to show up and save her from her own mortality.
Yeah.
And then she falls off a bike.
Yes. Enter the disruption. The catalyst for everything. Cassia is biking in Frogtown, which is this, gritty, industrial, cool area along the LA River, and she completely wipes out.
It's not a glamorous moment.
Not at all. She rolls down a concrete embankment and lands in a bush. It's humiliating, it's painful, it's physical. It forces her out of her head and into her body for the first time in a long time.
And who finds her in this bush? It's not Daniel Nam.
No, it's Ellis, a man in boots and, the book specifies, yellow socks. He's helpful, he's calm, he calls 911 for her, and the physical chemistry is described as being immediate and overwhelming. But there is a snag.
The age gap.
The age gap. He is 28.
And she's 39, about to turn 40. An 11-year difference.
Which, to her, is a continental divide. She literally calls him a zygote in her internal monologue. She is so aggressively defensive about his age.
That zygote comment is pure defense mechanism, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. She is trying to desexualize him, to delegitimize him in her mind, because he represents a massive threat to her life plan. If she likes him and he isn't Daniel Nam, then her 10-year wait was for nothing.
It would invalidate her entire belief system.
Exactly. If she can be happy with some random 28-year-old guy she met in a bush, then the magic paper is worthless. And if the magic's worthless, then her mother's death was just a random tragedy, not a cautionary tale. She can't handle that.
But Ellis, he doesn't seem to back down easily. He actually tracks her down in her office.
He does, just to check on her injuries, and he challenges her on the age thing almost immediately. He has this great line. He says, "Millennials are obsessed with aging."
Ouch.
It's such a sharp, accurate cultural observation. Ellis is Gen Z. He doesn't seem to have the same hang-ups about timelines and, life milestones that Cassia does. He represents the present, the now.
And his job reflects that too, doesn't it?
It does. He's a landscape architect. He works with soil, with plants, with tangible reality. He doesn't live in the clouds or in past lives. He lives in the dirt, making things grow right now. He's grounded.
So this courtship that follows, if you can even call it that, since Cassie is fighting it tooth and nail the whole time, it's incredibly sensory. The description of the weekend they spend together is so vivid.
And that serves a narrative purpose. The author is creating this stark, unavoidable contrast between the abstract idea of Daniel and the tangible reality of Ellis.
He comes over to her house, and he meets her bird.
He meets Betty, her cockatoo.
Who is apparently Betty the demon bird.
Yes. Betty usually bites everyone. She is basically a feathered manifestation of Cassia's own prickly, aggressive defenses. But she lets Ellis pet her. She likes him.
That's a classic literary signal right there. The animal knows.
The animal always knows. It's a shortcut to show the reader that Ellis is safe. He has this calm, steady energy that can penetrate even the most defensive creatures, human or avian.
And then they do these normal domestic things. They plant geraniums, they eat kalguksu in Koreatown. It's so easy.
And notice the food choice there. Kalguksu is comfort food. It's warm, it's messy, it's hearty. It's not some high-end performative French dinner. It signifies that they can just be together. They don't have to put on a show.
And the intimacy between them, the book is pretty clear that if the best sex of her life.
And it's not just physical. It's presented as deeply vulnerable. It's the kind of intimacy that can only happen when you finally let your guard down. But even then, you have to watch Cassia's internal monologue.
He's fighting it.
The whole time. She keeps telling herself, this is just a birthday fling. This is just for now. He's just a boy.
No.
She is desperately trying to compartmentalize him to protect the prophecy of Daniel Nam.
She seems terrified of the sunk cost fallacy. She's invested decades in Daniel. Pivoting to Ellis now would feel like admitting failure.
That's it exactly. She feels that if she abandons the search now, then the last 10 years of her life were a complete waste. She can't accept that maybe the waiting was the problem, not the solution.
So she runs away.
She runs. She packs up for her annual birthday tradition, a solitary trip to a high-end yurt in Joshua Tree to mourn her mother, and she leaves Ellis and L.A. behind, or so she thinks.
And this Joshua Tree sequence, this is where the plot really tightens the screws on her.
Oh, it's a masterclass in narrative tension. It relies on a massive coincidence, but in a story that's all about fate, coincidences are the engine of the plot.
So she gets to her fancy yurt. She's ready for her solitude, her ritualistic wallowing.
And who is in the neighboring campsite? Ellis.
He's on a work retreat. Of course he is.
With his landscape architecture firm, he's just delighted to see her. He has no idea she's trying to run away from him. He's open, he's happy, and he says, hey, come meet my boss.
And I think we can all guess who the boss is.
A handsome man. Successful. With a British accent. Daniel Nam Watson.
The hyphen. That's why they couldn't find him. He was adopted by British parents.
It's the worst possible scenario for Cassia. The absolute worst. She is standing there in the middle of the desert looking at the man she has waited 10 years for, while standing right next to the man she just slept with and actually genuinely likes.
It's a physical collision of her fantasy and her reality.
Yes, they're both standing right in front of her. She can't keep them compartmentalized anymore.
So let's compare these two men because they really do represent two completely different life paths for her.
They do. Ellis is reality. He is the earth. In the desert, they go for a walk, and Cassia finally unloads all the trauma about her mother's death. She tells him everything.
And he can handle it.
He just takes it. He holds that space for her without judgment. And then he reveals his own scars. He tells her he was married very young and got divorced. So he proves he is emotionally mature regardless of his age. He's lived, he's lost, he understands her pain. He's all in on Cassia.
And then there's Daniel. Daniel is the fantasy. He's the heir.
He's almost a mirror image of her own trauma. They bond instantly over being in the orphan club.
The orphan club.
Yeah, Daniel's adoptive parents died in a car crash. He reconnected with his birth mother later, but he grew up with that loss. So they have this immediate, intense shortcut to intimacy through their shared grief.
Which is powerful.
It's incredibly powerful, but notice that it's rooted in the past. It's rooted in what they're both missing, not what they are actively building together in the present.
The physical attraction is there with Daniel too, though.
Yeah.
The book describes them climbing a rock, and he lifts her up, and it's electric.
Oh, the spark is definitely there. But the deciding factor for Cassia isn't a conversation or a shared moment of grief. It's another vision.
The sound bath.
The sound bath. It's such a perfect, quintessential LA moment. They're all lying in a dome listening to someone play crystal bowls.
And Cassia slips into a trance.
She does. And she sees a past life. She's in a traditional Korean home, a hanok. It's peaceful. Daniel walks in. He's her husband. He serves her tea. It is quiet. It is serene. It is safe.
And she hears a baby crying in the background.
And that is the clincher. That's the knockout blow. The vision promises her the one thing she wants even more than a husband, a child. It validates her biological anxiety. It's a sign from the universe that says, if you pick Daniel, you get the baby, you get the family, you get the safety, you get the lineage.
It's a vision of the continuity she craves so desperately.
It's everything she thinks she wants, handed to her on a silver platter. So she wakes up from the sound bath and she makes the ruthless choice.
She chooses the vision over the reality. She breaks up with Ellis.
Right there at the campsite.
Mm-hmm.
And she does it so poorly. She lies. She uses the age gap as the excuse because she can't possibly tell him the real reason.
Which is what... Sorry, I just had a magic vision that your boss is my soulmate.
Exactly. You can't say that. So she hides behind a plausible, socially acceptable excuse to avoid the wild, magical truth of her life.
And Ellis's reaction is just... It's heartbreaking. He's so gracious.
He is. The book says he leaves her a small jar of purple sage that they'd seen on their walk, and a note signed with just the word love. He is gracious and kind right to the very end.
Which, of course, just makes Cassia feel worse.
So much worse. If he had been a jerk about it, it would have been easy. But he wasn't. She is actively sacrificing a genuinely good man on the altar of a potentially great man. She is trading a known, tangible happiness for a promised, theoretical happiness.
So she goes back to L.A., and I assume she rallies the troops.
She goes straight home, calls a family meeting with the park women, Halmoni, Imoni, Sunny, and says, "I found him."
And he must have been ecstatic.
The family is jubilant. Imoni, the great aunt, apparently cries tears of joy. Halmoni is stoic, but pleased. The prophecy is fulfilled after a decade. They immediately switch from waiting mode into scheme mode.
Theme mode.
Well, they can't just have Cassia call him up and say, "Hi, our grandmothers were part of a shamanistic lineage and a vision told me we're soulmates."
No, probably not the best opening line.
And they definitely can't let him know that she was the girl from the desert who was sleeping with his employee. So they have to engineer a meet cute. They have to make it look like destiny, not like stalking.
So they start plotting.
They do. They decide they'll invite him to an upcoming summer matchmaking event that the agency is hosting at LACMA, the art museum. It's the perfect, neutral, high-class setting.
But the universe, or maybe just L.A., has a sense of humor. Before they can even execute their perfect plan, Cassia runs into both of them.
Yes, in the most mundane place possible, a coffee shop. She's just been on a bike ride with her best friend, Marcella. They're in their cycling gear, all sweaty. And Ellis and Daniel walk in.
Oh, no. The tension in that scene must be just suffocating.
It's palpable. The text describes it so well. Ellis is polite, but so cold, so hurt. He's protecting himself. Daniel is friendly, charming, clearly intrigued by Cassia, sensing a spark.
And Cassia is just stuck in the middle.
Standing there, trapped between the man she hurt and the man she hunted. And her best friend Marcella, who knows the whole insane story, is just freaking out silently beside her. It's this perfect visual representation of her internal conflict played out over lattes.
And that is essentially where this first part of the story leaves us hanging. But looking at this whole setup, this structure, I'm left with so many questions about the validity of the red thread itself.
And that is the question the book wants you to ask. We, the reader, and Cassia, we assume the red thread is benevolent. We assume soulmate means happily ever after.
But what if it doesn't?
Right. What if the thread is just a connection? What if it connects you to a lesson you need to learn, or a tragedy you have to endure, or maybe just a version of yourself that you've outgrown?
That's a really interesting point, because Cassia's vision of her life with Daniel was very traditional, very quiet, him serving her tea. Her actual reality with Ellis was messy and loud and funny.
Exactly. It strongly suggests that her destined match might be a perfect match for her past self. The Cassia of 1900, the one in the vision, she matches perfectly with the Daniel in the vision. But does the Cassia of 2024...
The one who runs a company and deals with chaos every day.
Right. She's modern, successful, slightly neurotic 40-year-old executive. Does she actually want to sit quietly and be served tea for the rest of her life? Or does she want to plant geraniums and eat noodles and banter with someone who challenges her?
It's the classic difference between safety and vitality.
Yeah.
She saw the vision of safety and she chose it. But all the vitality we see her experience in the book was clearly with Alice.
She is betting that the magic knows better than her own heart. She is outsourcing her agency, her free will, to a piece of paper and a vision she had during a sound bath.
She is prioritizing the should over the is.
100%. She's clinging to what her life should look like according to this ancient magic, and in doing so, she's throwing away what her life is and what was making her happy.
And I think that is the provocative thought I want to leave our listeners with today. If you had that paper, if you had the absolute certainty of a name, would you trust it over your own lived experience?
Would you dump the person who makes you laugh today, the person who shows up for you right now, for the person who was promised to you 10 years ago?
Does fate account for who you are now, or is it stuck in who you were in a past life?
It's a terrifying question, really, because it asks us to trust ourselves more than we trust the universe. And that's a hard thing to do.
It is. And if you want to see how Cassia navigates that terror and that choice, you have to pick up One and Only by Maurene Goo. It is a really fascinating study of magic, trauma, and the incredible messiness of modern love.
Highly recommended. It's a great read.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.